Welcome to More Than Legal, the show where we go behind the scenes to uncover the fine print of power, purpose, and profit. I'm your host, attorney Danielle Laughlin. After almost 2 decades in the trenches of courtrooms and boardrooms, I have learned that every move leaves a mark and every deal tells a story. What will we uncover today? Let's find out. Hey, real quick, before we dive into the episode, remember, nothing you hear on this podcast is intended to be legal, financial, or tax advice. I invite you to contact any of the guests you hear by looking in the show notes for their contact information, or if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find my contact information at daniellelaughlin.com. All right, now let's get into it. Hey, welcome to the first episode of More Than Legal. I'm your host, Danielle Laughlin, and I am so excited to share this podcast with you. This podcast has been in the making for some time, and I hope that it will be valuable. I got pushed into doing this and really decided to take the bull by the horns after talking to a couple of producers who encouraged me to just start a conversation and share some ideas. Like a lot of lawyers and other business advisors, I tend to stay behind the scenes. And I typically am not the person in the spotlight. That would be my client. So it was a little hard for me to adjust to the idea that I might be the spotlight. So what I've decided is instead of making this podcast all about what I have to say, it will be about what other people have to say as well. And so I'm bringing this conversation to you because what I've learned in the past 15 years of law and business is that we need more ethics. We need more conversations about the why behind what we do. There has been a dramatic shift over the last couple of decades towards doing business with purpose. And I think we've reached a pivotal moment because we're on the cusp of revolutionary technology. AI is rapidly changing our world in very big ways. It's disrupting almost every industry right now. And a lot of us are wondering, what is this going to look like when it's all said and done? Now, we've seen other revolutions in the past. We've had other calamities in the past. Of course, we've now gone through the COVID pandemic. We've been through the Great Recession. We are currently looking at some geopolitical scaries. But all the while, we, just like all of those who have come before us, have the fear that it's all over, but we know it's not. The world is going to keep going. We are going to keep moving forward. And the best thing that we can do at this pivotal juncture is talk about why and how to do business the right way. In the race to be the richest, the biggest, the fastest, and the smartest, we are finding ourselves not being terribly ethical. And I think that's causing some issues because fundamentally, we all are here to help other people. That is what we all have in common. And yet, we find ourselves in this rat race of competition, constantly trying to strive to get ahead of the next guy or gal. I think there's a better way, and I think that you probably agree. I've learned that business is more than legal. It's more than contracts and deals and handshakes. It's about the why behind what is happening, the leadership, the courage that it comes with a good leader to stand in the face of uncertainty, to stand in the face of innovation, and have the conviction to say, you know what? Just because we can doesn't mean we should. And that is the conversation that I want to have with you. So why me? Well, outside of being a lawyer for the past 15 years, helping businesses of all sizes, I've also been a mother and an entrepreneur. And in fact, I was a single mother for about 7 years of my life, and that was law school and the beginnings of my business. What that taught me in being a single mom and doing things on my own is that anyone can do anything if they have the right why. Now, back then, my why was a lot more simple. I just had to put food on the table. It didn't really matter what I did for work as long as I could get enough money to take care of my son. But what I learned over time is that really I could make as much money as I wanted if I had full control over what I was doing. And I decided in law school that I would become an entrepreneur. Within 5 years of practicing law, I knew I would start my own firm. But the truth is, I did that out of desperation more than anything else. It wasn't a noble step into entrepreneurship. In fact, it was exactly the opposite. You see, what pushed me into entrepreneurship were two really critical life changes. Number one, my dad lost his business. It was the Great Recession. I was working for the banks, and his business went under. It was catastrophic for him and for our family. The other thing that happened around the same time is I realized that I was in a deep, deep depression. I was very unhappy with my career. I did not enjoy the work that I was doing. My job was to go into bankruptcy court representing the banks and get houses from the bankruptcy court so that my bank clients could foreclose. In the process of that, tragedy struck, frankly. I saw names come across my desk of family members and friends. I was working for the dark side. So I watched this happen to my dad. I knew I wasn't living in alignment with who I really was. And really, I was at an all-time low point. So I started my business out of absolute necessity because I had nothing else. And something inside of me knew that I could do it differently. I could figure it out and I could figure out what makes it work. And that's what I set out to do, to figure out what makes business work. So I've been behind the scenes as a lawyer. I've been in the trenches of courtrooms from bankruptcy court to federal court. I've had large deals and transactions both before I became a lawyer and, of course, as an attorney. And I've seen and heard the things that most other people don't see and hear. I've heard the conversations when the owners are talking about layoffs, suing people, expansion, selling, and you name it. And in these discussions, I have become a master student of psychology, philosophy, and ethics. Now, I didn't just start by analyzing my clients. And if you're a client, don't worry. I'm not judging you. But I did actually study philosophy and ethics in undergrad. And so I always had a foundation in these principles of fairness, liberty, political philosophy, and all of those really nerdy things. What that has done in combination with the work that I have been in is given me a very clear recognition of what's the secret sauce here? What is it that makes some people so successful and other ones fail? We're not talking about good person versus bad person. No. These are good people. We're not talking about smart person versus dumb person. Some of the less intelligent out there are making the most money and being the most successful in business. So it's not about goodness and it's not about intelligence. It's not about grit and perseverance. I've seen some folks heading in the wrong direction head first and they're not stopping. They have a lot of perseverance. I've seen others that have the right ideas, but they just can't make the choice and move forward. What I've learned, both as an entrepreneur myself, making many mistakes, and helping my clients in very high stakes situations, is that it's not really the what to do. It's more about the how and the why of what you're doing. So, as we go forward, here's what you can expect from this show. Number one, you can expect me to keep it very real. I'm not going to come here and act like I have all the answers. This is a philosophical exploration for me as much as it may be for you. I'm also not going to be the only person talking. You're going to get very tired of that. So I'm going to bring on some experts, people that have been in business, people that understand business, not just because of their profession or their expertise, but because they live it. They've seen it firsthand. We are going to go deep, but not so deep that it's boring, because the other thing you can definitely expect is some jokes. If there's one thing I love to do, it's laugh, and we're going to keep it light around here. But as we focus on the future, as we focus on the purpose and the mission for which we were all put here, we want to remember, just because we can laugh doesn't mean it's not serious. And these topics are very important, not only for you and I, but also for our children. I've got 2 children going to college this fall, and I'm excited for their future. But I also am a little bit terrified. And I want to make sure that I'm part of the solutions to some of the problems that we're seeing today, and not sitting in silence or letting someone else do all the talking. So if you have good ideas and suggestions, hit me up on the website. Tell me what you want to talk about. If you want to be a guest, come on the show. I'd love to talk with you. You can go to www.morethanlegalpodcast.com and fill out the form there for being a guest or suggesting a topic. Next time, we are going to talk about a process that I use to help my clients make high-stakes decisions when they are struggling to make a choice. The truth is, I don't tell them what to do. They have to figure it out for themselves. I just provide the information. And what I've found in giving so much information to people is sometimes it just fills them with overwhelm. It's almost like, oh my gosh, there's so many things to think about. So this framework breaks it down in a very simple way. And it goes through the very practical steps that you can use for yourself and with your teams to make better decisions when the stakes are high. Because when the stakes are high, guess what? The ego creeps in, because fear of failure, fear of loss, that motivates reactionary, ego-driven action. The sooner that you and your teams can recognize this gnarly, ego-driven decision-making that you've been used to and see a new way, I promise you, you will reach new heights, not just in your business, but in your personal life and with your own conscience. Because at the end of the day, we don't just want to be good business owners, we want to be good people. So I look forward to exploring this more with you. I hope to see you on the next episode of More Than Legal. And until then, remember, no one will change the world unless you do. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the show. Remember, stay sharp, stay curious, and stay tuned for our next episode. Bye for now.